I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Oh, man, the classic Bruce Lee quote.
Right. It's easily his most famous piece of, martial arts wisdom. But today, we are actually taking that exact philosophy completely out of the dojo and, putting it right into your mouth.
Which sounds a little weird, but yeah, it makes perfect sense when you see the material.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing a deep dive into a highly specific set of source materials. It's essentially this training manual that promises to fundamentally rewire how you speak a language.
And not by giving you more words, which is the usual route.
Right. Not more words, but by revealing these hidden, biomechanical algorithms of fluency. We're talking about mastering the actual flow of spoken English and doing it with just 15 minutes of targeted practice a day.
It is such a brilliant pivot from how we usually think about language learning. I mean, the sources we're looking at today, they completely reject that traditional, exhausting strategy of, trying to memorize 50 new vocabulary words a day. Ugh, the flashcard grind.
Oh, yeah, it's the worst. And they argue that kind of brute force memorization is precisely why so many people just, they hit a wall.
Okay, let's unpack this, because there is a massive core problem that these sources are addressing. And I feel like we see this frustrating phenomenon everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
You have someone with this massive vocabulary, they read complex academic articles, they ace every written grammar test you throw at them.
Right. On paper, they're basically fluent.
Exactly. But then, the very moment they open their mouth to actually speak, the illusion just totally shatters. They stumble, they sound choppy, they hesitate.
Yeah, the brain knows it, but the mouth just can't keep up.
Right. So if we know that practicing 10,000 kicks, or I guess in this context, cramming 10,000 isolated words into your brain, if that isn't working, what is the one kick we are actually supposed to be practicing?
Well, what's fascinating here is the sheer physiological reality of speech. I mean, the source material makes a really bold assertion that completely upends standard language curriculum. And what's that?
It's that people spend entirely too much cognitive energy cramming vocabulary and practically zero time working on the connective tissue of speech.
The connective tissue.
Right. You can know the dictionary definition of every single word in a sentence, but if you don't physically understand the biomechanics of how those words link together in the human vocal tract, you just end up sounding like a robot.
Which, that brings up a question of balance for me. Because my instinct is to say, wait, so are we saying vocabulary doesn't matter at all?
Well, no, you definitely need a foundation.
Right, because you can't communicate a complex thought without the right words.
Right.
I was reading this and it made me think of an analogy. It's like building a brick wall, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the vocabulary is the bricks. But if you don't have the mortar, which would be these linking rules, the whole thing just looks clunky and, it falls apart. You just have a pile of groaks.
Yeah. That is exactly it. You need the mortar. The point the sources are making is that vocabulary without connection is virtually useless for real-time fluency, because fluency is not a mental vocabulary test.
Right.
It's an intense physical exercise for the mouth. It is all about motor function and muscle memory.
Okay, yeah, I see the distinction. It reminds me of the difference between a string of pearls and a stream of water.
Oh, the stream of water, yeah.
When someone is just retrieving isolated words from a flashcard app in their brain, they're basically handing you one pearl at a time. Plop, plop, plop.
Very disjointed.
Super disjointed. But a native speaker doesn't hand you pearls. They pour you a stream. The words lose their hard edges and just, flow right into one another.
That is a much more accurate representation of what's happening physiologically. And what our sources do here is they isolate the specific mechanics of that stream.
Which is so helpful because usually people just say speak smoother.
Right, which is incredibly vague and unhelpful advice.
Right.
But the manual actually breaks down the phonetic phenomena that create that flow.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the sources provide 3 specific, what they call magic formulas for linking words.
The magic formulas. Yeah.
These are the actual physical algorithms native speakers use without even realizing it. So let's look at formula number 1, which is essentially the foundation of all English flow. The consonant plus vowel link.
Right. And this is the bedrock of what linguists sometimes call resyllabification.
Resyllabification, that is a mouthful.
It is. But the concept is simple. When a word ends in a consonant sound and the very next word begins with a vowel sound, A fluent speaker almost never separates them.
Okay.
They don't just put them close together. They physically push them together so tightly that the final consonant of the first word actually detaches, and it becomes the starting consonant of the second word.
Okay, let's demonstrate this for the listener.
Yeah.
Because reading about sound theory is one thing, but feeling it in your own mouth is everything.
Absolutely.
So if you are listening to this right now, I want you to say the phrase, pick it up. But I want you to say it as 3 distinct, isolated words.
Right. If you do that, you get the rigid, robotic delivery. Pick it. Pick it up.
You can literally feel your vocal cords stopping the airflow between each word.
Yeah, it's very stop and go.
It feels like you're hitting the brakes in a car, then accelerating and hitting the brakes again. It takes a tremendous amount of physical effort.
It's exhausting for the vocal tract. It physically halts your conversational momentum. But if we apply Formula 1, we change the boundaries.
Right.
The K sound at the end of pick slides over to initiate the I in it. Then the T sound in it slides over to initiate the U in up.
Oh, wow.
So instead of pick it up, the flowing natural delivery becomes pikeyed up.
Pikeyed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like one single 3-syllable word, pikeyed up.
Exactly. Let's look at another highly common phrase from the notes. Check it out.
Okay, so if I'm the robot handing out pearls, I say, check it out.
Right. And if you are pouring the stream, applying the consonant to vowel formula, it becomes cheekied out.
Check it out. Your mouth never hits the brakes. The air just keeps moving. Which, actually, that leads us perfectly into the next 2 formulas, because these deal with a slightly more intense collision.
Yeah, these are a bit more dramatic.
Right, sometimes letters don't just slide over, they actually morph into completely new sounds when they crash into each other. The source calls Formula 2 T plus Y equals CH.
Yes, and this is a phenomenon known as assimilation, specifically palatalization.
Okay, palatalization.
Right. It happens constantly in conversational momentum. When a word ends with a hard T sound and the very next word starts with a Y sound, the collision actually creates a CH sound.
Give me an example of that in a standard sentence.
Okay, take the words don't and you. A beginner might try to clearly articulate both, don't you? But a native speaker physically blends them into "danchu."
Danchu. Oh, yeah, or a phrase like meet you becomes meet you, like nice to meet you.
Exactly.
Wait, okay, if T and Y make a CH sound, does that mean a D and a Y do something similar? Because physiologically, a D is really just the voiced version of a T, right?
That's spot on.
Your tongue is in the exact same spot behind your teeth. You're just vibrating your vocal cords for the D. So do they make a J sound?
You just reverse-engineered Formula 3 perfectly.
Nice.
Yes. Formula 3 is D plus Y equals J. A word ending in D, followed by a word starting in Y, creates a soft J sound upon collision.
So if you're listening right now, say the phrase, did you out loud. You probably didn't say did you. You likely said did you. Like, did you do that?
Yeah, did you. And this is where we have to clarify a major misconception. The sources really emphasize that these transformations, like saying don't you instead of don't you, they are not lazy speech.
Right, they aren't slang.
Not at all.
I think people often assume it's just sloppy enunciation, like you're trying to sound like a teenager sending a voice note or something.
It's actually the exact opposite. It is the natural, inevitable result of biological efficiency. It is literally the path of least resistance for the human vocal tract.
Oh, interesting.
Think about the biomechanics. To make a T sound, your tongue taps the alveolar ridge, which is that little bump right behind your top teeth. But to make a Y sound immediately after, the body of your tongue has to lower and pull back toward the hard palate.
That's a huge physical jump to make in, like, a fraction of a second.
Exactly. Doing both of those distinct movements at full conversational speed requires an awkward drop of the jaw. And the human body hates wasting energy on awkward movements.
That's so true.
So the mouth subconsciously compromises. It finds the exact midpoint between the T position and the Y position. And that midpoint happens to be the CH sound. It is just a physiological shortcut to keep the air flowing.
Wow, it's a biomechanical algorithm. Your brain is literally just optimizing for energy efficiency.
That's exactly what it's doing.
And when language learners try to force themselves to perfectly articulate every single letter of don't you, they are fighting against the natural physics of the mouth. They are burning unnecessary energy. And ironically, it makes them sound less fluent because native ears are subconsciously listening for those phonetic shortcuts.
Yep, they're listening for the stream, not the pearls.
Okay, so knowing these 3 formulas, consonant sliding to vowel, T plus Y making CH, and D plus Y making J, that gives us the blueprint of the algorithm.
Right.
But let's connect this back to our opening idea from Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
How do we actually practice this one kick 10,000 times without dedicating, hours a day to it? Because understanding the physics is totally different from having the muscle memory.
Right, and this is where the source material transitions from linguistic theory into a highly actionable, kind of brutal but effective daily regimen.
I love a good regimen.
It outlines a one-week plan that requires exactly 15 minutes a day. No more, no less.
15 minutes is brilliant because it completely eliminates the excuse of not having time. I mean, you can do this on your commute. You can do it while making your morning coffee or brushing your teeth.
Exactly.
So the manual breaks this 15 minutes down into 3 highly specific 5-minute blocks. Let's dig into block 1, the slow motion.
So for the first 5 minutes, the instruction is to take just 5 sentences. You aren't cycling through pages of dialogue, just 5.
Just 5 sentences.
And you speak them incredibly slowly. You strip away all normal speed. Your entire cognitive focus is placed purely on exaggerating the connection points.
So if I take a phrase from the notes like, I'll find out, I wouldn't just say it normally. I'd stretch the whole thing out to force the consonant vowel link between find and out.
Right.
I would literally say, I'll find out. Like, I'll find out.
Yes, and the sluggishness is the entire point. You are deliberately exaggerating the transition to force your brain to map a new neural pathway to your mouth.
Oh, I see.
When you remove the pressure of speaking at a normal conversational speed, you give your motor cortex the time it needs to understand the choreography.
It's exactly like learning a complex button combo in a video game.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, if you try to execute a 10-button combo at full speed on your first try, you just end up mashing the controller and failing.
Yeah, just panic mashing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to input the sequence slowly, meticulously, over and over, until your thumbs just know where to go.
Yeah.
And then the speed naturally follows.
That's a perfect analogy. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. You are programming the controller, but in this case, the controller is your tongue, your lips, and your jaw.
Which brings us to block 2, the middle 5 minutes. This phase is called the shadowing.
The shadowing, right.
So the instructions are to take an audio clip of a native speaker, listen to their voice, and repeat what they say instantly, like overlapping them. But I have to be stubborn here and push back on a very specific weird instruction the source gives for this block.
Okay, let's hear it.
The source explicitly mandates, don't worry about the meaning of the words, just copy the melody.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, but why on earth would we ignore meaning in a language exercise?
Yeah.
Isn't the literal point of speaking a language to convey semantic meaning? Telling someone to ignore what the words mean feels totally counterproductive.
I completely understand why you'd balk at that. It feels deeply counterintuitive to how adults are taught to learn.
Yeah, it really does.
We are conditioned to analyze, to translate, to understand. But neurologically speaking, it is the most crucial instruction in the entire manual.
Really? How does actively ignoring meaning help you speak better?
Because of how your brain allocates its limited bandwidth, when you focus on the meaning of a sentence, you engage the prefrontal cortex and the analytical centers of your brain.
All right.
You are suddenly processing vocabulary translation, verb conjugation, subject-verb agreement. All of that heavy semantic lifting takes fractions of a second, and it creates a cognitive bottleneck.
Oh, so you get stuck in your own head translating and the words just get backed up.
Yes, that bottleneck actively interferes with the motor cortex, which is just trying to execute the physical movement of the jaw and tongue.
Wow.
By deliberately ignoring the meaning, you bypass the analytical brain entirely. You free up 100% of your cognitive resources to focus purely on phonetic mimicking. You treat the language not as data, but as pure music.
You're just matching pitch, rhythm, and flow. That is wild.
Think about how toddlers learn their first language. They don't start by studying grammar.
Definitely not.
They start by mimicking the prosody, the musical melody of how their parents speak long before they understand what the individual words actually mean. They are mastering the rhythm of the stream before they ever identify the pearls.
Okay, that actually makes total sense. You are tricking your adult brain into learning like a toddler again.
Exactly.
You bypass the overthinking prefrontal cortex and speak directly to the muscles. Okay, fine. I concede the point.
It's a tough one to accept, but it works.
So we have 5 minutes of slow motion to build the pathway, then 5 minutes of shadowing the melody to build the rhythm. That brings us to block 3, the recording. The final 5 minutes of the daily 15.
The recording?
The instruction is to literally record yourself speaking these connected sentences on your smartphone and then immediately listen back to it.
And we should acknowledge right now that this is universally the most uncomfortable part of the process.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Confronting the cognitive dissonance of your own recorded voice is something most people actively avoid.
It's awful. We all think we sound like Morgan Freeman in our own heads. And then we hear the playback and realize the tragic truth.
It is a humbling experience.
Truly. But the source introduces a brilliant diagnostic question here. When you force yourself to listen back to that audio file, you have to ask yourself one question. Do I sound like a river or do I sound like stairs?
It's a highly effective way to visualize auditory data.
Right, because stairs are clunky. Step, step, step. That is the robot handing out pearls. Pick it up.
Exactly.
If you hear that staccato rhythm on the playback, you are hearing the stairs. But a river flows continuously over the rocks. It adapts to the terrain. Peaky-tup, that's the stream. And you absolutely need that objective external feedback loop to self-correct.
Yeah, without the recording, you're relying entirely on internal perception, which is notoriously flawed when learning a new physical skill.
Right, your brain lies to you.
Exactly. The recording acts as an objective mirror. It forces you to confront the gap between what your brain thinks your mouth is doing and what your mouth is actually doing. You cannot fix a biomechanical mistake if you don't objectively know you are making it.
So what does this all mean? We have the phonetic formulas. We have the daily 15-minute blueprint of slow motion, shadowing, and recording. Let's look at the finish line here. The sources make a pretty massive claim about what happens after doing this for just 7 days.
They do. They promise a distinct tipping point. They refer to it as a surprise that kind of sneaks up on the learner.
A surprise?
Yeah. After just 1 week of this highly targeted 15-minute daily practice, the conscious effort required to make those links suddenly vanishes.
It just disappears.
It ceases to be an intellectual exercise and becomes a default physical habit. Because for those 7 days, you haven't been studying abstract grammar rules. You have been literally retraining the fast twitch muscles in your mouth and tongue.
Oh.
You've practiced that one specific kick 10,000 times. Your mouth has mapped out the path of least resistance. And because the body loves efficiency, it will naturally start to default to that path, even when you aren't actively thinking about linking rules.
The linking just happens. That is incredible.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate proof that consistency of the right action beats sheer volume of the wrong action every single time.
Oh, every time.
Doing 15 minutes of targeted biomechanical practice every day for a week is infinitely more powerful than spending a miserable 6 hours on a Sunday trying to memorize flashcards.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we're really talking about is a fundamental paradigm shift in how we approach skill acquisition in general.
Yeah, it goes way beyond language.
We are moving away from the exhausting cognitive load of rote memorization and moving toward targeted physical habituation. It is a necessary reminder that many of the barriers we face aren't intellectual deficits. They are just physical bottlenecks that haven't been trained yet.
Which leaves me with a thought I haven't been able to shake since we started diving into these notes. We've just explored how you can radically hack one of the most notoriously difficult things for an adult brain to do: achieving fluency in a foreign language.
Right.
And you do it simply by ignoring the literal meaning of the words, studying the physical shortcuts of the mouth, and spending 15 minutes a day just mimicking the melody of the sounds.
It sounds so simple when you say it like that.
It really does. So it makes you wonder, what other complex skills in our personal and professional lives are we currently making wildly too difficult by overthinking all the theory instead of just practicing the rhythm? It seems Bruce Lee and his one kick might have figured out a lot more than just martial arts. Get you on the next deep dive.